All right, we are back. It is cold out. I'm wearing a t-shirt though. It's kind of warm in here.
It is freezing outside. The wind, it's like 20, 25 mile per hour wind gusts. It's like terrible. I hate this time of year. I just want to get the fuck out of the Northeast. Speaking of which, we just got the drop today. We're going to talk about that in the next episode. But I came with my World Series of Poker hoodie.
Yeah,
I got on the rack for like $5 the last day of the series a couple years ago.
We'll be discussing that.
Looking forward to the warm weather. That's for sure.
Yes. Today, first time on this show on the Nerdthusiast Poker podcast. I had to break out the RunGood gear because we have the man that runs it all. I'm pretty sure he's like the president, CEO, founder, everything. I'll find out in a second. We have Tana Karn on the show. Tana Karn. I just messed it up. Damn,
Come on, dog.
Jeez. What's up, man? Welcome.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me on, and I promise by the end of the podcast, hopefully, we'll be able to say my name.
Tana, like sauna. That's what
this guy.
Listen. There you go.
Like, I wrote notes and everything. I was prepared. Boom, and I just
get in the corner.
Out of here. What's up, man? Welcome to the show. So are you president, founder, CEO of RunGood Poker Series, RunGood Gear, RunGood everything? Are you the man for all of that?
Oh man, we probably should have started with that opening. That was a mouthful. Yeah, no, I am. It's funny. Over the years, it's expanded to all sorts of different RunGoods, right? The RunGood Poker Series, RunGood Clothing, RunGood Events. We even do 813 Media, which is like photography now for the poker industry. So we're all over the board. But yeah, pretty much everything RunGood that started with me in a backpack.
So that was my next question because I wanted to bring this up because we're going to connect on this. So I wanted to see if this was true. So you started out RunGood by selling shirts out of your backpack at poker events. That's true?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, it's funny. It's always a fun story to tell us because when I first started, I came to the World Series of Poker with a backpack and I had a bunch of promo shirts. I was like so gung-ho. I was like baby-eyed. I was like, man, people are going to love my shirts and I'm just going to be like giving them out and everyone's going to be like, oh, this is so cool. Like, where can I go buy some? And the first person I offered a shirt to was Bernard Lee, who does another podcast.
Yes.
Bernard Lee Poker. And he's now one of our ambassadors, but I always give him as much shit as possible because he was the first person I gave or offered to give one of the shirts to, and he said, no, I'm good, thanks.
Wow. Wait, you were giving it away for free, right? Like, here, can you just wear my shirt? Or were you trying to sell it?
You know, like the story's morphed over the years, so I don't know the exact verbiage. I'm sure there's like some fact checking that needs to be done. But I think probably what I did, I was like, hey man, like I have a shirt, would you like it? And he's probably like, oh, I'm getting hustled in Vegas, like I'm good, I don't need a shirt.
Yeah.
But in my head now, I'm thinking back at it because obviously the stuff we've done together, but also grown. It's just funny because, like, man, I couldn't even give the shirts away when I first started out.
It's funny you say that because in college,
that's what I was gonna bring up.
Well, actually, it's twofold, right? So we went to a smaller like commuter school on the East Coast, and they used to give t-shirts away for signing up for like credit cards, and like I'd be like, I just give like fake information, a fake email address, and I was walking away with like a Bob Marley tee. But it's funny because we both pledged the same fraternity, and we were always trying to make money to kind of put towards the fraternity to pay for like our parties and things like that.
Sure.
And we actually had one of our fraternity brothers pose as like he was throwing a beer pong ball, and we sold t-shirts that it said like Stockton beer pong, and we kind of made it like the NBA logo, but it was more like someone throwing like a beer pong ball. And we made probably like $500-600. We were selling for like $5 a piece.
But we would go around the parties with our book bags
full of t-shirts.
So when I read that, I was like, dude, this guy is just like us. And then years later, we still say like the pro beer pong league or whatever ripped us off because we definitely had that logo.
We did. So good.
So I gotta ask, what fraternity were you guys in?
It was called Pi Kappa Phi, the same one as Chris Moneymaker.
Oh, really? Get out. Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
different like chapters, but the same like national fraternity. Yeah.
No, this is actually coming like full circle, and so I was in a fraternity as well. I was SIGAP, and there's another gentleman in the poker industry. He's Gary Gates. He came in fourth, World Series Poker main event, and works for PokerStars now or consults for them. And We just bonded over this because we didn't realize we were in the same fraternity growing up. But similar to what you guys are saying, that's how I got my start in the apparel world. I made polos, a little bit different than the NBA beer pong logo, which sounds
Yeah,
way
yeah.
cooler. So your story is gonna trump mine already out of the gate. But that's same situation. Just hustling, trying to get people to sign up and like, hey, we're doing this really cool like golf polo. And I mean, it really is like you just never know what happens in life when you're like young or when you're growing up, where it just like all of a sudden just like takes you to a whole different direction.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it was one of those things for me too.
What was the first big moment? So okay, so you go from book bag. What's the first big moment where you're like you knew that Run Good was going to turn into something? You're like, okay, this is going to be something bigger than just t-shirts.
It's oh man, good question. It took a couple. Not many people know this because like obviously it's been 14 years now since I started doing this. But when it first started, it was back in 2012, and it really took about 2 years of just like traveling around, talking to people, having that backpack, and just like getting it in the hands of people before it really had its break moment. In 2014 is really when it started kicking off, and that was actually when I got a random call. I think it was like a Tuesday afternoon, and I don't know what I was doing. I was probably playing like Spider Solitaire on my computer because there wasn't much to the business at the time. And I'm just sitting there clicking away, and I get this call from an unknown number, and it was before the time of like telemarketers calling you all the time. So I was like, yeah, of course, I'm just gonna pick it up. Like that was just the thing to do. So I ended up picking it up, and this guy from Downstream Casino up in Joplin, Missouri. His name was Dale, and he was the poker room manager over there. And he just like basically pick up and like, hey, what's up? This is Tana, and he explains who he is, and he's like, hey, like it's really great to talk to you. Like, would you ever want to headline one of our poker festivals? And I was like, sure. And I was like 23, 24 at the time, and I probably should ask more questions before saying yes, but I was just like, yeah, okay, like let's go, like really, just tell me when and where to show up.
Yeah, fuck it.
And that small moment, I didn't realize how pinnacle it was, or like how pivotal it was for the company, or just for me in general for life. But that call and then us having that event, it did extremely well. Chad Holloway from Poker News, he was actually a live reporter at the time. Even wrote like a really cool article for us about it, and really just like jump started the RunGood Poker Series just from that one little random call on a Tuesday. And you know, after that, it's just been kind of like a giant sprint since. Like I honestly do not feel like we've ever had like a break in growth outside of, maybe COVID, I guess. But it's been like one stop after another, referrals. Like I don't really cold call any casino. It's just more about like we just have a really awesome and fun product that people talk about, and been blessed enough that, a poker manager talks to a different poker manager, or a traveling dealer talks to a different traveling dealer. And from there, we went from like Downstream to Hard Rock Tulsa to Horseshoe, Iowa, and then if you look on the site now, we're all over the place. We're Florida, San Diego, Sacramento. I mean, it's been bananas, but it really just stems from just just word of mouth.
We followed you. We've been following the Run Good gear and stuff like that. And so I got to attend one of your events last year, I believe it was in Baltimore. I came up to the Northeast, and I told everyone here we have a poker league at our house. Like, dude, this is awesome. It felt like obviously you're on here, so I'm hyping it up, but I'm being serious. It felt like a home game in a casino. Like it was fun, like it was fun. Like it wasn't just super grind, put your headphones on and it was fun. You were doing bounties on like local people in the room, and a guy I knew was one of the bounties, and it was just like every table had this little thing going on, and it was just so much chatter and fun. Like it just livened up the game so much. It felt like this is what poker should be. This is what it felt like it should be to me. And so that was the first time in the Northeast, from what I understand, right? Because we're Northeast guys. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so any plans for the Northeast? I know Northeast is a hard market because there's a lot of things already locked down up here. Is there any plans in the future, or any goals to come back to the Northeast?
There are. There's actually two big stops that are going to be happening in Northeast in the spring, is what we're planning for, and that is going to be at Hollywood Penn National,
Okay, yeah,
which is
yeah.
going to be outside of Hershey, and then we actually are in the midst of finalizing stuff with Borgata up in Atlantic City. So that'd be
Oh,
another big one,
we're
as
Brigada
well. And
boys.
Yeah,
So
that's like our home base for us. Yeah.
no, yeah, I mean Kelly's awesome. Like she took over that room, and it's just been another like amazing event after amazing event. And it's one of those things too where it really was just, I think a traveling dealer was up there and talked to her about it. And, she's just like so innovative up there that she just was like, hey, like I should give these guys a call. And we had a great conversation. And obviously, like I don't want to promise anything just yet. We're
Yeah.
still kind of like talking and making sure that we cross all our T's and dot our I's. But, just from the brief conversations we've had with her and, her knowing our product, and it's just like it just feels like such a good fit to be there for the Northeast and kind of have that run good event. Really, honestly, for probably one of the probably the mecca, right, up there for Northeast tournament poker.
Yeah,
I'd say.
I would say Foxwood used to be in that conversation for a while, and then after COVID, they just never came back strong enough. I feel like, in my opinion. So Brigada, I mean, Brigada is the hub of the Northeast. I mean, they're the king.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I've been to Atlantic City once, and it was for a sports card show.
Yeah.
And I remember this. It was with Gary Gates, actually. Gary Gates and Joe Stapleton from Poker Stars. And this was like kind of where I think we're out like maybe a year or two from COVID. And we all, we're all big in the sports cards because that's all we had to gamble on for the longest time at home. And we're up there, and I remember one night I'm with Gary Gates, and I don't know if he is gonna want me telling the story, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So sorry, Gary. It's going out to the public. Um, there's always that moment when you're in a casino and you just look at like the buddy you came with, right? And you're like maybe like 2 beers deep. Like we're not sloshed, but like, we got ideas brewing. And I look at him and I'm like, look, man, like I want to win a flawless box tonight. And for everyone who does not understand sports cards, a flawless box is like the top end of cards, right? It's like a $19,000 box of cards. And it's where you get, if you get the one of one NBA Shield, it's worth like $500,000. Obviously, there's only one of them, and there's, it's a long shot. But anyways, that was the goal, right? We're here for the sports card show. We have a ton of money. We sold a bunch of our own sports cards, so we're now like, this gambling bankroll. I look at him, and I'm like, hey, let's win a flawless box tonight. And he's like, I'm in. So first things first, you go through the gauntlet, right? We're like, where are we going to make our money first? Whether it's going to be Baccarat, Blackjack, Craps, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, So we go through it all. We start with Baccarat. It doesn't go great. No big deal. We're still young. We got drinks on the way. Like, let's switch it up. We'll go to Blackjack. Blackjack, not so great either.
No.
We're like, all right, we're losing a little hope. We're losing a little steam on the night. Then of course, we find the next table and we're going to the Craps. Craps spun it up. Back to even. We're like all on cloud nine. Like, we're back, baby. Like, right. We ordered shots and now we're getting sloshed. Now we're in the sauce. So we're in the deep end. And then we break even at Craps and we look at each other like, should we call it? Like, we got our money back. We got to, hold another day of the card show tomorrow. Let's call it a night. And we're like, let's just go to UTH, see what happens. Let's just see what happens. And of course we fired off at UTH, which is Ultimate Texas Hold'em for everyone listening out there. And we just get our dicks kicked in.
Yeah,
like
just
not even like a sweat. Like we're just getting wrecked. Like we catch a pair, they catch a bigger pair. And so like, the whole bankroll's gone, obviously. Like, we're 3 sheets to the win. And we're like, all right, well, you know what? We tried our best and we're just going to go and, try to sell more sports cards and we can gamble more. And we're leaving the property. And Gary looks at me and I look at him and I'm like, and I already know what he's thinking. Like, we're like, we've been on the same gambling page for like the past 6 hours. And I'm like, I look at him like, hey, man, I think I can get like $1,000 more out of my ATM. He's like, I think I can do the same. So we both go to the ATM and we get out 2K. And this is like, I think for everyone watching or listening at home, we're already probably like 6K deep buried. So like, what's another 2K, right? And we decide to like, and I was like, look, like, I don't want to spend all night chasing our losses. Like, let's just go to the slot machines and just like, like we're not physically or mentally prepared to actually make real decisions.
You've officially hit rock bottom at this point.
We're in no state to do any strategic planning of where to gamble or how to gamble. We were there to get it up. And we walked by this Wolf machine, and I remember Alan Kessler, and he messages me every now and then and tells me about all these like plays and advantages and stuff like that. And in your head, right, when you're like 8 drinks in, like everything looks like an advantage, right? You're just trying to get unstuck. So you're just like, hey, hey Gary, I think this one's good to go. And he's like, okay. So we end up putting the 2K in. And like sometimes what people don't realize when you are on a play in a slot machine, like it's not necessarily an instantaneous thing. It could be like a 10-minute thing all the way up to like a 2-hour thing, right? Where you're just smashing the button and you're just hoping that plus equity value spot hits finally. And so we're in this thing for like maybe an hour, right? And like the sun's coming up, you got the old people coming in for their morning coffee. The breakfast specials are live. And me and Gary are just like two kids that smell just reek of absolute alcohol and just like smashing this button, hoping to hit this play. And we finally do, and we end up making $100 each. And so now we're just so over it. We're like, all right, we're done. Like, we tried our best, we played our hearts out. And this is all gonna have a full circle story, but um we're about to leave, right? And we're heading out to the where the Uber pickup is, and we pass this machine that is just yelling Buffalo. And I'm like this is cool, right? Like, cause at this point I'm a squirrel, right? Anything you say, I'm just like turning my head left and right, just trying to figure out what's the next play. And we go to this Buffalo machine, and I'm trying to explain to Gary like what Alan taught me at one point, or I think maybe it was Chris Conrad, but um, we're checking the numbers, and I'm like, this is it, this is the play, this is the play. And he's like, okay. So he hands me the bankroll, and I put in like $500 of the bankroll, and we smashed it 2 times, and we hit the grand. Like,
Really?
not even a sweat, just we hit the grand. It was for I think like 16 grand. We're obviously going ape shit, right? And like there's probably like 4 other people in the building. So there was it's like you could hear us because like it was empty. Like our voices were carrying because there was nobody in that casino at the time. And so long story short is that's how I became a really big Buffalo fan. If you have not seen my social media, I play a lot of Buffalo Link machines, and that is how we ended up buying a flawless box of cards the next day with Gary Gates. So
Anything
anyway.
in there? Anything in the box?
Oh God, no! We got our dicks. But hey, I mean, the story to try to get it is well worth it. Well worth it.
That is awesome.
Nice.
What casino did you hit at?
I think it was where the old Taj Mahal was. I
Hard
think it was
Rock?
maybe the Hard Rock.
Yeah,
The Hard Rock.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, I hope to see you back in Brigada. We will probably definitely be there if you run it. And we'll definitely be a part of that. Had a couple other things here. So, okay, so you kind of touched on some stuff here ahead of it. So what are the big plans this year coming up besides Brigada, besides being Pennsylvania Northeast? I mean, first off, that's a banger because people in this podcast, we have a lot of followers from the Northeast, so that's awesome to hear that you possibly coming up here. So, but what's the plan going forward for the rest of the year?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of big stuff. We just renewed our deal with Poker Go. We're doing the Dream Seed Invitational again, which is really awesome because it allows us to basically take the best of the best for all the ring winners across the years and give them a chance at a seat at the $1 million free roll, right? So the PGT Championship, it's the best of the best of the PGT. So these are all the killers, and I'm not saying it's an easy spot, or if you win the seat, it's not like an easy guarantee win, but you're playing for $1 million. And there's only 40 people in it, and it's filmed for TV, and we get one of the seats within our partnership that we always give out to players. And that's one of the things that we renewed this year. And then coming on for the first time this year as well is going to be Club WT Gold that we just signed a deal for, that is allowing us to do ring events on their online site. It's for sweepstakes coins. And it's really cool. We're going to be doing it on Sundays. There's a schedule on our site at rungood.com, but basically I think there's only 4 states that don't allow it, but you can now play for a ring from your home on your phone and in sweatpants, which has never been done for the RunGood Tour. So that was kind of groundbreaking for us. And as we kind of lead into the end of our season, we actually are going to be heading out to Japan for our very first like true international spot. The gentleman named Takumi over at the Japan Open Poker Tour reached out to us, and it was honestly one of those things again, like just got an email out of the blue, and just like started talking back and forth with them. And next thing you know, he was like, hey, do you guys want to come out to Japan and do a ring event? And, I would say I asked more questions this time around, but it was still a snap yes. And so we'll be heading out there in April 27th through 29th. I'm real excited, and I only hear good things about Japan, obviously as a country and just like the culture, but just poker is so new over there. So it's almost like going into like a completely new frontier, right? Where poker is just now emerging, and people are starting to pick up and learn about it. I'm not entirely sure if you can play for real money just yet over there, but I know like you can play for prizes, and there's like leagues and things like that. So it's like a really fast growing mind sport over there, and it's just kind of it'll be really cool to see how it's perceived.
That is pretty awesome,
Yeah, it's
man.
cool.
That is awesome. That takes you like places, that you never thought that you'd probably end up as, playing poker, and that's pretty
I
cool,
mean,
man.
12 years too. Like most businesses, at the 10-year mark, they're just maybe starting to turn a profit, in the sense of like all the money that they've invested into, getting them to that point. And you're,
Going to Japan.
I mean, sky's the limit for you. Jesus. Like, I bet, you never thought you'd be where you are today. That's awesome. Kudos
Oh,
to
yeah,
you, man.
And
Awesome.
Thank you.
one
I
of,
appreciate that.
I forgot to bring it up in my notes, but you brought up earlier it's 8131 is the media company, right?
Correct. Yep.
So I think that's cool too, because like literally one of the best poker pictures I have, my wife actually has it on her background of her phone, was from the event. So I think that's cool. You take everyone's pictures, you post it, and I mean that's just good hype for the RunGood series too. Like getting it out there, like, hey, this is me playing poker. It was, and my wife thanks you for the picture, so she like.
Well, no, I mean, I appreciate that, and I'm glad you got a photo out of it, and I think that's something that's been missed. I wouldn't say miss. I should say that's kind of a strong word. It more of something that just hasn't really been tapped into for the longest time. I mean, you know, like think about it, right? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to sound weird, but like whenever I see like CrossFit competitions, like all the like buff dudes and girls, it's just like I'll stop my scroll, I'll be like, oh man, like maybe I should go get in shape for a second. Like that should be the same thing for poker. Like
Yeah.
people should be seeing like all the cool poker pictures and like the money and the awards and people winning rings, and just how exciting that is for people to like stop on their scroll for their timeline and take a look. And not only that, but like, the biggest advocates for poker are the players.
Yeah.
And if I'm a player and I, have this amazing photo of me and I get to display it to my friends and family, all of a sudden that stigma of like gambling's like, the worst, or like poker is like a gateway drug or whatever they say nowadays, but it's not the case. It's a competition. Like look at this photo. Like it should show you like not only how professional it is, but also just like what goes into it. There's more than just like putting money and rolling dice in a sense. It's a mind sport. It's there's stamina involved and all sorts of things. And I got to give credit to Haley Hochstetler, who's worked with me for a very long time now. And part of that 8131 crew is a lot of her photographers that she's taught in the industry. And normally it's been always just kind of like funneled into either a Run Good Stop or the World Series of Poker. And now with our partnership with like Poker.org and Poker News and a lot of the card rooms that we work with, has allowed us now to not only showcase poker but showcase those places of like, this is why you need to come out and play. Like just like look how beautiful this property is and look how beautiful this tournament room is. And that's just kind of like I feel like has sparked just a whole nother part of the poker world that hasn't, no pun intended, just hasn't been seen, right? Like if the saying goes, if a tree falls in the woods and it doesn't make a sound, or sorry, I'm totally butchering this. If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it actually make a sound? And now, with the photographers that we have and that Haley's taught over the years, and now having that access to photos, right? People are now seeing poker in a different light. And I joke about this with the team all the time, but it's like, I always have to say this with a straight face, but like in reality, if you think about it, like right now, what they're doing for tournament poker is you're creating a whole new optical change of the whole industry and how people view it and how people see it. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other aspects and what people are doing, whether it's the ambassadors or like the podcast out there now, and just like the media reporting and the news outlets for it. But on like a visual scale, like just it's night and day from when before what we were doing to now. And hopefully if we continue to do that and grow it and more people see the value in the photography part of it.
Another thing I liked about your series is you make it for the everyday man or woman, I should say. Your price points seem to be 300, 400 range, which seems to be a lot more affordable for your average player that just wants to come out and play a couple days, have a little bit of fun. We're not all grinders that can put in 2 weeks nonstop and, have hotels and tell our wives, hey, we're leaving for 3 weeks. See ya. But for a guy like me who plays a couple times a month and Brian, having a relatable prize that's decent and also a relatable buy-in, I think are really good features as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's been a big philosophy of ours, and we've always, I know there's been a lot of folks that have told us in the years that we should bump up our price points or make the main bigger, and we do have spots where the main event is in the 1100 all the way up to 2500 for our big $1 million one at Thunder Valley, but we do try to average around like a $600-$800 price point just for that exact reason where we know like poker should be entertaining, right? And there's also a threshold of like when when it just doesn't feel as good to lose like a certain amount of money. And
Mm-hmm.
we want to make sure people that come in a with, with a bankroll that they can afford, but also that they can have fun even if they do lose. Because the whole point of I think of a RunGood event, or at least for the way we've thought it out and shaped it, is like we want to make sure either people win or lose that they still have a great time, and that's either with the experience, who they get to meet with ambassadors that come out to these events, the giveaway shirts, the rings, the camaraderie, the apparel itself, or just even like the pictures, right? Like
Yeah.
like worst case scenario, you're just gonna take home a new Tinder or Facebook profile picture. So like I mean, you at least got something out of it, I guess.
If you're putting yourself at a poker table on Tinder, everyone's swiping the wrong direction.
Send it.
It's like the picture of the guy holding up the fucking bass he just caught.
I mean, you know what? You're not wrong. Yep, there's definitely some red flags, but I mean, that's what we're trying to dispel, right? Like, I mean, at least when they're swiping the other way, they're like, oh, at least that's a good picture of that
Yeah, it's a
guy.
good pick. Yeah, professionally done. Great pick.
I had a girl's, this is a long time ago, a girl's grandmom. She told him that she was going out on a date with me. And she goes, he's Italian and he's a gambler. She's like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Worst combination.
Worst combo. Absolutely not. That's awesome. All right, so I have we're gonna do a couple questions here now. First, I have Twitter. I threw up last minute, but I didn't check it again. But we got one question for you from Pierre. He's one of our boys. He asked, what challenges do you face as an operator with these series? Like, what's something that's maybe been problematic that you've had to overcome, or a challenge that you've had to work on?
Sure. Good question. Where to start? I mean, there's challenges every day. I mean, I think something I've learned over the years, and my team's gonna laugh when they listen to this podcast, is that I always say like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face, right? I mean, it's gonna happen regardless, and something that I've grown up with is right. There's always a backup plan on a backup plan on a backup plan, and you're not going to be able to always control everything all at once. And like on an operational scale, I think something that people don't necessarily realize for the RunGood Tour is that we don't actually do the operations of it. We bring in either a traveling crew or we have different groups that we work with or different properties we work with that have their own traveling crews and have their own TDs as well, and we vet them and we educate them as best as we can on the RunGood way in a sense, to make sure that the experience is positive, but also these are the elements that we're trying to incorporate, just because we kind of want that separation of like church and state where you have the operational side and we want to make sure that's clean and all above board, and then we have the fun marketing and media side, which is the thing that RunGood really excels at, and that's you know the sponsorships and the promotions and the rake back stuff that we give back to the players, the photography, the prizes, the rings, the giveaway items, and just creating that atmosphere of like when you come in and it's like that cheers show, right? Everyone knows your name.
Yeah.
Like we want that to be a huge part of it. And we've done that also with, we have an app now, the RunGood Rewards app. And, at some point we're going to be launching it where you can actually go onto the app and type your name and you can look at all of your RunGood history. Like it's a timeline of like your
Nice.
caches and achievements that you've done over the years. There's people that have been playing with us since we first started back in 2014. And it's just so cool to see just how far we've come, not only as a company, but also the players that have come with us. And, that's the biggest thing is that I would say is like, to go back to the question is, the biggest hurdle is having folks understand that like mistakes are going to happen. Like it's inevitable. And even the best tournament crew, like we even see it at the World Series of Poker, right? There's been so many times when somebody goes all in and the dealer mucks their cards, or there's a bet made and somebody bets out of turn or goes over, over the top out of turn, or does something incorrect, and it's you see it on TV because as someone at home, we can always see it, in replay or see it in slow motion and see like, oh my God, like that should have been a flag. But in reality, right, when you're doing this in real time, it's hard to always catch that, and it's always hard to make sure that you're doing it the right way. But I think the biggest part is just making sure that players know that like you're in a very safe environment, everyone's vetted, and mistakes will happen, and we're always going to do our best in the spirit of the game to make sure that the rules are applied correctly, and that everyone has a good time and everyone has a fair shake at winning this game. And anything outside of that, right, we're going to do our best to manage that and make sure it doesn't happen, uh, moving forward. But, there's definitely always going to be an instant. I'll get a call, just like I'm sure Jack Effel gets a call at like 2 in the morning about some ruling. And like, unfortunately, I always have to say, like, I don't know why you're calling me. I don't know any of the rules.
Room service? Who is this?
Yeah,
Who is
like
this?
you need to be calling the
Wrong
TD.
number.
Yeah, no. So it's always funny because I'll be that guy that everyone kind of wants to turn into, and don't get me wrong, like I don't mind taking those calls. Like I want to hear it. I want to hear about it. Like worst case scenario, the next day I'll have a cup of coffee with you and we can talk about the decision that was made, and I can give the property feedback or the dealer or the TD feedback, and make sure if it doesn't happen again, or just learn from it. But at the end of the day, right, like I think that's one of the biggest things that I've always dealt with is just you know hearing people out and making sure that their voice and their opinions are heard, and making sure that it improves our product, rather than getting defensive and dismissing it. So that's just one of the challenges of being an operator in a sense.
All right. We're gonna ask you a couple other or nerdy or questions here, but I think Brian wanted to ask one about the background, what's going on back
Yeah,
there.
so I see you have the Dolphins helmet. I'm a Dolphins fan, been diehard since I was probably 12 or 13. I grew up with Marino playing.
He's had a rough
I've
life.
had a rough like 30 years. I'm assuming you are a fan, or what's the story with the Dolphins helmet?
So just a little background. So I used to work in sports. I used to work for the NBA, and then I also worked for WNBA. So like I don't know if you guys can see on the camera, but this thing right here, that is the team that I opened up for the WNBA, the Tulsa Shock. That's how I got back to Tulsa when I was working for the Clippers at the NBA. So everything you kind of see behind me has some sort of backstory. Most of it is just gambling. Most of it's just like gambling with friends.
Yeah,
The biggest thing about like gambling with friends is you don't want to take money from each other.
yeah.
You just want to have like some sort of trophy that you want to bet against them. So
Okay, I see where this is going now.
yeah, everything that I bet is either like sports related. So that helmet that's signed by Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins was from a buddy, that we bet one of the surprise NFL helmet boxes that they would just like open up, and it would just have somebody's autograph on it, and I ended up winning the bet against him, and he bought me that, and we opened it together, and it was a Tyreek helmet. There's a Blake Griffin ball up there. I used to work for the Clippers, and I was there when he got drafted. Um, Very excited. There's so much hype behind him, and then he got hurt the first game of preseason. So that's why he was able to sign that ball for me, because he had nothing else to do.
Yeah, just chilling.
And no, but other than that, I mean, it's always funny. Like you'll see all this stuff here, but what you're not seeing is all the stuff I've bought for other people from losing bets.
Yeah.
And so my email, the ongoing joke is, I'm a huge Chargers fan. Like I love the Chargers. I went to college in San Diego, and super psyched about Herbert being our QB1 and all that stuff. But my email from Fanatics is filled with Chiefs gear, like all the ads you can imagine of all the Chiefs gears, because every year I have a bet with the Hinkles, Grant Hinkle and Blair Hinkle, bracelet holders, and the bet is always the Chargers versus the Chiefs, and we play them twice a year.
Yeah.
And basically, whoever ends up winning, buys a jersey, buys a hat, buys shoes and stuff like that.
So
And
they're just
we
loving
all know
life.
how dominant the Chiefs have been. I've for some reason, Fanatics thinks I'm the biggest Chiefs fan in the
20%
world.
off this, 20% off this. The Chiefs
They're
just won the AFC Championship.
oh yeah,
Get
oh
your
yeah,
gear
all the
now.
discounts, all the cheap discount codes. They're like, hey, pick up this new Mahomes jersey or pick up this new Kelsey jersey. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
God damn it! So I'm just like always having to delete those spam ads. But that's what you're seeing behind me is all the gambling I do with friends.
Nice.
Cool.
Trophies. Anything? Okay, so anything outside? We always ask this question too. Anything outside the realm, because we are Nerdthusiasts, so we're part of a bigger brand that's part of like video games and movies and different things. And we do the poker content. You have anything super nerdy about you? Board games?
Oh,
There's
man.
something that stands out that's like your nerd hobby that you kind of hide away. You don't really tell much. But you're like, dude, I like watching or doing that. Like, what's your nerdism that you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a ton. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you don't get this eccentric, clearly, without being a little bit nerdy. So, I used to play Magic the Gathering.
Okay.
I was actually really big Magic Gathering. I won one of the Junior Super Series growing up.
Nice.
Went and played out in Orlando. I love playing League of Legends and TFT. So I play a lot of the I don't know what you call them, the chess, I forget the auto chess. Auto chess is what it is. But yeah, and obviously I collect sports cards. I don't know if that's nerdy. I think that's kind of now somewhat cool because
Oh,
like
that's
Tom
super
Brady.
cool now.
Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's 20 years ago when you're doing it's nerdy, but now it's like the hip thing is but when we were kids, it was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. But yeah, now
Yeah. So yeah.
but
A
that's
lot
the
of
thing
that.
about nerdism is like it's nerdy because there's a cool little group of people doing it, and then it kind of catches
Yeah,
fire,
like
and then it becomes.
it starts as a niche, and then it kind of grows.
I mean, that's what we
there.
kind of say about poker. Poker, if you really go down to the bottom of the studying and going behind the scenes of charts, I mean, it's nerdy, but like it's also cool. So it's got a balance of both, you know?
Yeah. No. No. Of course. I mean, the biggest things I can say too about like poker is like there's definitely there's tiers to it. I
Yeah.
would say like you have like your rec players, and then you have like the kind of like your nightly guys who have a beer and just like toss a couple of bucks in to gamble, and then you get a little bit more competitive on like kind of the mid stakes, and then when you get to like the higher tiers and this is by no means a brag, but like when like I hang out with like Chance Corneth and like Ben Lamb who like play like nosebleed stuff. Um, like when they're talking poker at like dinner or lunch or whenever I go out with them, it's just like straight Arabic. It's like I have no idea what they're saying. They're talking like all about these like opens and ranges and like GTOs, and I'm just like sitting there eating my sandwich, being like, yeah, that's cool, guys. Like
You're like, that's
so.
cool. Deal on cheap gear here. Hold on one
Yeah,
second.
This email I got to answer. That's actually one thing I was going to ask is like, I mean, you're big into the industry. Like, do you get to play much? Do you enjoy playing? Do you consider yourself like more recreational or like middle of the road? Like, what's your own take on your poker skill?
Sure. It's a mix. Like I played pretty heavily growing up, no limit hold'em, and for all intents and purposes, I was of age when I started first playing.
Same with us. Same.
But so I've been grinding a long time playing no limit hold'em. That you know to me, like, don't get me wrong, like No Limit Home is like it's like a classic, right? You can't, it's like such a perfect game, and there's so many elements to it. But over the years, right, like my attention span and the length of time I have to play isn't always that lengthy. So I've transitioned a lot into like Pot Limit Omaha just because there's a lot more action. You can get more hands. There's more outs, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
And then you know I do have like one game that I'm like super hardcore about, and I've been doing it for the past 2 years, and I've made day 3 on both years. Is the Deuce to 7 bracelet event out in Vegas.
Okay.
Um, and for some reason that game just like resonates with me. I have no idea why. But like just absolutely love it. I know the spots in it. Like was able to pick up fast on everything that the game has to offer, and that is the one game that I will definitely like actually look over hand histories and look over like strats and stuff like that, and really try to make good decisions. PLO and No Limit Hold'em, I'll just, yeah, is there enough money in the pot? Yeah, let's gamble.
Woo!
That's my skill level in those games nowadays. It's just let's just get it in and see where they go. Like, we're running it 3 times, 4. All right, let's go. Let's do it. So
Nice,
yeah.
nice.
Cool.
All right, so wrapping up here, I know you talked about a couple, but can you throw out some of your places where people can find you, websites, and different social media handles and things?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, rungood.com has everything. It has a whole explanation of where we'll be for the tour, and it has explanations of our sponsors. We got Poker Go on there. We got Chip Leader Coaching. We got Club WT Gold, a whole sorts of things. We also have a Player of the Year with Hen Mob. So it is your one-stop shop to everything Run Good. We even have apparel in there. And for my handle, it's tcarn421. If you want to follow, I do a lot of slot content. And all sorts of things under the sun that's gambling, clearly from the story earlier. And if you want to check out our channels, Run Good Gear and Run Good Poker Series are ones to follow if you want just industry or really cool pictures of people winning rings.
Nice.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. We hope to see you. If I don't get out to the Hershey event, and you do make the Borgata thing happen, there's a pretty good chance we'll be there. So we'll definitely meet up and maybe go play some Buffalo and slots and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in. You got me.
All right. All right. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Thank you, guys and girls. Thanks for following. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.